Hey guys, my name is Hogan and welcome to my shop. I thought I'd come out here this morning and give the shop a little bit of needed cleaning after the last couple projects. I have a couple commissions coming up, so I was looking around for kind of small projects that I could do in between. And settled on a Moxon Vise. I got some hardware from a job site a long time ago, and I have some cedar offcuts from the planter boxes my wife and I made this last Saturday. So I thought I'd give it a try. Just epoxy the nuts in place, kind of winging it, not following any plans. So stay with me and we'll get it done. Let's get started. I'm going to start by using the bandsaw to rough cut these boards to 6-inch widths. Very excited to have this new tool in my shop. It's a Grizzly 6-inch jointer that I got a couple weeks ago. This is the first project I will be using the jointer with, so I'm going to face joint the first board, and then I will use that jointed face against the fence for a reference and edge joint a 90-degree face. With the boards now jointed, I will run them through the thickness planer to get a parallel face. Finally, I'll take it to the table saw to rip as little material off as I can to get a parallel edge to the jointed edge we did earlier to make square stock. Very excited to use all of these machines. This is the first time I've squared up stock with all power tools. Before, I would just use hand planes to joint my boards. Here I'm cutting off the factory ends of both boards, and then I'll be setting a stop lock at 23.5 inches, which will be the overall length of each board. So I'm going to start working on the back chop here. What I need to do is I've laid out a center, the center of where I want these rods to go through. We're going to have a nut here that I need to counterbore into this cedar plank so it's nice and flush. So I'm going to take this 1.5-inch Forstner bit. I'm going to go down the thickness of the nut, and then I'm going to switch out to a 1-inch Forstner bit to go all the way through. So then we'll have a place for our rod to go. I'm going to do this on both sides, and then I will line up these nuts, score around with my knife, chisel it out so it's nice and flush. So these nuts won't spin while we're turning the vise. While I have the drill press set up for the 1-inch Forstner bit, I will also drill out the corresponding holes in the front of the vise. So there's been a small change of plan on this. The hole that I drilled, the 1.5-inch hole that I drilled, is a little big for this nut. I was looking to get this diameter of this hole on the inside part of this nut, and I was going to chisel out the waste so it'd sit there nice and flush. That's not going to happen with this. So what I'm going to do is actually, I got a nut on the back here. I'm going to tighten it, which will pull this nut in. Kind of wedge it in there. I'm also going to put some 5-minute epoxy on the corners here just to secure it so it won't come out later on while I'm using the vise. So we'll give that a try, see how that works, and if it doesn't, then we'll figure it out then. While that epoxy dries, I'm going to focus on the handles. Off camera, I took a 1.5-inch Forstner bit for the nuts that are going to be inset into these handles, drilled them out on the poplar blocks, and now I'm just kind of lining up some handholds, and I'll take a can of finish and I'll center it on the hole and just kind of get a little rounded profile on there to just make it a little bit easier on the grip. Obviously, I'm going to be making 2 of these handles, but here I'm going to show the process of just making the first one. The grips I made are a little bulky, so I'm going to resaw them down and fit them out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up this epoxy and I'm going to put it in our handles here. I drilled these holes so the nut would actually sit a little higher than the face of our handles here. I'll just drive these in. While that epoxy sets up, I'm actually going to cut a notch out of the back chop here. That's going to allow me to use an F-style clamp, make it a little shorter, 6-inch, so I can clamp this part here down to a table. Traditionally, there's an angle cut on the top front piece of the vise to allow for sawing at an angle once you're using it. So I'll eyeball this angle, tilt the bandsaw blade, and clean it up with the sander. I'll sand everything down with 120 just to smooth it out, and then add 2 coats of shellac just to give it a little bit of durability. Well, here's the Moxon Vise all set up. This vise is really nice. I'm really happy I made this. I've been wanting one of these for a while. You take big panels like this. This is a cutting board, but you know, if you have to do dovetails on a side panel for like a blanket chest, anything like that, then it's got this nice big width. The thing's not going anywhere. You can cut, you can sand, you can plane, you can do whatever you need to do. It's also nice when you need to have long pieces that you need to stand up on end. You just kind of get one side close, give it about a quarter turn, then you can use the entire thing just on one screw. You know, you put this thing all the way down like that, tighten that bad boy up. That thing's not moving. What I'll mostly be using it for is planing boards. Table saw's got a lot more weight, and until I make an actual woodworking bench, don't really have much to hold these pieces in place. It has a lot of weight where I can plane and nothing moves. Well guys, I'm really happy with how this came out. I hope it was educational for you. If you liked the video, hit that like button. Leave a comment below if I inspired you at all to make your own Moxon Vise. I highly recommend it. And thanks for watching.